If you ain't worked on that forgiveness bone, don't be trying to sit here and forgive this person and keep the relationship alive. Sometimes you gotta let shit die in order for shit to be rebuilt. You know what I'm saying? Tear the building down. Let's start from the foundation and work our way up. And in my past relationship, my foundation was faulty. You know, so the whole building had to go down.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's the word, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today, man, we got a special guest in here, right? Over 300,000 followers on Instagram. You be telling people that you're the love of their life. Man, after that story you told me, bro, I see why they're convinced and driving from Mississippi. Man, former member of 773, owner of Brick House Productions, the founder of the Loverboy podcast. Dude. Introduce yourself, man.
My name is Demetri, Demetri Wiley, for those who do not know me. Like he gave that wonderful introduction. I've done a lot. I'm just blessed to be alive, human, you know what I'm saying? I'm blessed to be living in God's space, so I'm everything you want me to be.
Bro, see, that's the shit you say, and they
God
just be falling in love and shit. But
God damn it. Just an advocate of love. That's really all it is.
Something I didn't mention is you're a rapper. I don't know if you like rapper or musician, but you've been pursuing music since you joined that choir back at Marconi?
Yeah.
Marconi Elementary.
Yeah, shout out Marconi. Yeah, Marconi was a grammar school I went to. My parents put me on stage at a young age, so I was probably like in third grade, singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I was Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying? And that just built up this like confidence to where I can get on stage and talk to 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000 people at a time. It comes pretty natural, you know? And music's the love of my life. So before a woman ever could be or my child ever was, music was first. Music and film, actually, so that's how I got into it.
So I want to talk about film a little bit because in this outline, I don't got much of the production side, right? But the things you create are movies. You mentioned that you be seeing life as movie scenes. So when I heard that, I'm like, that makes sense, right? Because you're showing us what's in your head, you're showing us what's in your heart, and you're giving the world it, right? Why did you find it so important to create a production company?
I'm a firm believer that every role on a team you should know how to play if you're going to own a team. I think Mark Cuban should know how to hoop a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I'm a firm believer that the CEO should shake hands with the janitor and be willing to pick up that mop when need be. So for me, I learned every aspect of what it took to be a musician. I was like, I'm going to learn how to produce. I'm going to learn how to write. I'm going to learn how to distribute. I'm going to learn how to promote. And it reached the point to where I was like, in order to reach the masses, you need visuals to coincide with this. So I discovered everything necessary to be a production company. And then I partnered with some homies of mine, and it's been growing ever since. I actually got a video releasing on Valentine's Day. Crazy story, by the way. Just like you said, all of my movies, I feel like that's the way I see it. And the funny thing about music, the first thing that comes to my mind is the first start of every song. The first thing that comes to my mind, I never write it down. I'm usually in a car. I hear the beat one time. First thing I think of is exactly how the story go. And I usually stick with that, you know. It's been lit though, man. The movies are for my own sake. They be ideas living in my head. I just be trying to think how to make. This is a message for all artists out there. Because everybody's trying to grow and understand what they must do. In order to reach a fan base, you have to create a fan base. It's hard to drop a song and be Jello ball, you know what I'm saying? And it just drop and hit the masses, you know what I'm saying? You have to first find your sound. After you find your sound, you find what you want your niche to be. After you found that niche, you find a market that works for it, and then you grow that market. Everybody be trying to reach all over the place, and they got 100 different sounds. It'll work for you if you singularly discover what you want to be. And I told myself I was going to be like, like a young Kanye or a young Cole, and with these verses, I would also do something a little different that they didn't do, create a cinematic side of it. You know what I'm saying? So I was gonna be the Steven Spielberg to match the words. And I just think everybody needs to work on correlating a fan base, getting people together that rock with you heavy enough, and then you can do whatever you want to do in music. You know what I'm saying?
So what is it you actually want to do then?
Everybody be asking me that, like, do you want to do the podcasting? Do you want to? Because I'm touring for that right now, which is lit. Shout out to Nice Conversation. I rock with y'all. But music's my first love, man. That's the most ease. I haven't put a pen to a paper ever. You know what I'm saying? I came with the whole More for Less Volume 2 project on the way to work when I was working. You know what I'm saying? And the drive was probably 30 minutes, but maybe 8 rides. I had a whole project done. Went to the studio. I knew exactly how I would record it because it was in my head already. Knocked it out one time. And ever since, it's been like, you know, the same way. It's repetition. But music does it for me. I'm currently on this tour where I'm in front of an audience that's like 5, 6, 7,000. And that's great and all, but you know, it's a panel of us, and they come here to see us all. But with music, you can sell out arenas. You can reach worldwide, you know what I'm saying, with the pictures you paint. And a lot of times, what I'm finding out is like privacy gets blurred a little bit. People kind of fail to see you as human sometimes, but it works for me. I'm getting comfortable with it. You know, it's music for me for sure.
So then what I want you to break down real quick is that video for I've Got You, right?
And this is a funny story. That's one of my favorite videos now that you asked, which is crazy. But I was watching Inside Out with my son, and this was in the middle of heartbreak. So like when his mother had, you know, we separated, I remember sitting in the room watching Inside Out with him on like Disney Plus or something like that. And I love the way they depicted different characters for different emotions. And it reminded me of the human experience. So then in the next 10 minutes, I was like, I'm gonna listen to Girls, Girls, Girls by Jay-Z. So I listened to that and I put it together. I was like, what I'm gonna do is tell a story about one woman, the future wife I envision, because I'm always manifesting you, Ms. Wiley. You everywhere I go, baby. I put it in music and I said, I'm gonna sell a story like I'm speaking it as Girls, 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 and talk about how, okay, my favorite is easily the most crazy. She got a rap sheet as strong as the tone of an old Jamaican. She will throw a fit, throw some shit, and have you thinking that love is scary, but baby, this shit is dangerous. Ironically enough, she's in love with love making. So, you know, it just became different emotions or personalities of my wife. So the first one was like this crybaby, tipsy girl, you know, on the way home. The other was like a new independent mother. One version was my favorite. That's the crazy one. That's in love with love making. The next was a party animal that wanted to be out till 4 a.m. And then when the video concluded, throughout the video, I told the story with 4 different women. But when the video concluded, it put all them 4 different women in the same space, and it retold the story through one woman's eyes. You know what I'm saying? It kind of wrapped it up and said, all of these women are going to be traits of my wife. I only need one woman for real. You know what I'm saying? I'm super content with that. And a lot of people not content with that. But the thing about it is, with loving a person, you get to experience different stages of this person as you age, as you go through situations. And that's exactly what I've Got You was. It was the idea that you're going to watch this woman change, you're going to watch her adapt, and in those moments, you got to have her. And baby, I got you if you're listening to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Do you feel like that's something you had to learn over time?
Um,
Understanding. My bad, I don't mean to cut
No,
you off,
you all
right?
good.
But like understanding the fact that people do change, right? In our first relationships, we don't understand that. We're so used to this person being who we thought they were when we met them.
honestly, I was always pretty privy to it. I kind of always had an understanding of it because my parents been together for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? I've watched my mother go from the loud gangster that was outside to the, you know, quiet, reserved grandma. I watched my father go from selling drugs to the regular, everyday working man to the, you know what I'm saying? I've watched him evolve. And through watching him evolve and her evolve, I watched the way they love each other evolve. So for me, it was almost like I expect my person to change. And I'm grateful that I get to sit and watch that change. It's almost like a chameleon shedding skin, you know what I'm saying, or changing colors. It's a beautiful process, but it's a very interesting one as well because a lot of times you begin to question, is this person I fell in love with? But not all the time it is, you know what I'm saying?
And just like you said, right, we got to understand that people are changing over time. You being able to witness that within your parents, that's the first form of love you ever knew. Not only witnessing their love for each other, but the love that they gave you, right? Watching your parents grow and change the way that they did it make you feel like you had to change in the same ways that they did as you continue to get older?
I tell everybody you can learn from a positive space or you can learn from a negative space. You know, and I grew up and not all aspects of marriage is beautiful. Not all aspects of a relationship is beautiful or fun, or it's a lot of times it's quiet. It's a lot of times it's silent. It's a lot of times you arguing. It's a lot of times, and I was able to witness it all. And the thing about it is I didn't shy away from it. I wanted to know because in that same space is how I'll understand how to deal with my person when that time comes. No, it may not be the exact same figure, but it teaches me to have patience. You know, I developed patience as a kid, understanding that my father may not have had enough for my mother, or my mother may not have had enough for my father. So for me, I didn't have to emulate. I understood the characteristics I wanted and added to it. And that was from that negative space. A lot of people got to learn that it's not just the positive things you take away and walk away with. A lot you can look at the negative, self-reflect, and then walk away, and then break down what you learned and apply going forward. So that's really what it was for me. It wasn't that I wanted to be like them, or I just figured what they had was. I just thought what they had was beautiful, and it is. It's a friendship at the end of the day. It's a lifelong journey to relearn each other, and I think that's some beautiful shit to me, man.
And we're going to get into that, bro. But what I want to break down first, right? Again, going back to the production company and the music being your first love, right? What was it that made you see music as your bigger purpose above all else?
I just think, man, music has a way of resonating with people a lot quicker than anything else can. You don't have to sit and watch it for 2.5 hours to understand what the plot was. You don't have to have character development. The moment you hear a love song and the first few words resonate with you, you stuck forever. And that's exactly how it was for me. When I was a child, and my mother used to wake me up like, it's time to clean up, it's Sunday morning. And she got that Faith Evans on, or she got that Anita Baker on, or she got that Kelly Price on. What I was hearing is ways to love a person, ways to heal, ways to grow. And for me, music became a form of communication. Music's a language. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is not everybody speak the same language, because you got country, you got rock, you got alternative, you got all these other things. But music became a language for me of self-expression. And I didn't have to wake up and say, okay, this is how I feel. I could put it in a song and so many other people tell me they relate to it. Like you said, music and movies. When I put my depression in music, that Broken Prayers joint, I was getting like the thugs from the hood that I grew up with. And they was like, man, you get it. Man, you understand what it's like to be low. Man, we ain't never had nobody speak, you know what I'm saying, directly to us. And they saying it in conversation like, oh, GD, blah, blah, blah. And you know what I'm saying? I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I could be that bridge from them to their emotions. You know what I'm saying? That's what music was for me. Well, it is for me.
So then how was it you ended up in a group, right? 773.
I had a friend, and it's funny enough, shout out to Reed. We ain't close these days, you know, because that was kind of severed. We supposed to be on that Rhythm and Flow. We supposed to be on the first season. We had made it and everything, email proof and all. And he ended up getting like lace from some people he was smoking with, you know. And they asked me that I still want to go along with it. And I told them I can't leave a friend. I can't leave him. At the time, I had no music out. I had nothing, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't myself or the people. I wasn't the person the people listen to today. And he was the first person to ever walk me into a studio, changed my whole life. And the thing about it is, what I learned in that studio, I was like, oh, so the same thing that you hear on the radio or the same thing that's playing in the back of this commercial, we can make that right here and like leave with it. And that was mind blowing to me, because I took that idea and applied it to all aspects of life. Now I look at movies different. I look at movies and be like, I wonder what the assistant director doing. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what he doing on set. I wonder why they chose to hold his camera in this direction. Why that lighting angled that way. And it all tells stories. And he opened my mind to the idea that we are our own production company. We the movers of our own life. And he was the one dove me into music, and I kind of put him on to a different sound because he was rapping. But I put more of like a pop thing in his ear, and I was like, yo, bro, you could reach a lot more people if you garner this sound as well. And he did, and it was working real well. But I dove into music independently in 2022. And shout out to bro, because I wouldn't even be in it if he never walked me in that studio that day. I ain't know nothing about it. I ain't never been to the studio. I was like, oh, this is some new shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was like, yeah, you should go on in there. And I walked in there, and the first few words I said, I left with a song.
Why didn't you explore it earlier, considering that music has always been in you, right?
I didn't think it was attainable. You know, you hoop at a park, but do you really feel like you can make it to the NBA? Like, as we grew up and we got phones and YouTube became accessible, now people feel like they could do everything for themselves. I could build a house if I wanted to. And the thing about it as a kid, you looking, and that's the reason we idolized the celebrities we did. That's the reason we glorified, you know what I'm saying, Michael Jackson, because how are you doing this? Like, it's one thing to sell out an arena, and that sounds crazy, but people don't understand the amount of work that goes into it. Like, I'm currently on this tour now, bro, and I've always was like, I'm a tour one day. I don't think people know how exhausting this shit is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you here, there, arena, city, and it's a lot more than people think they're signing up for. And I learned that that day that I was willing to put the work in, I wanted it. I thought life before that was like typical everyday 9-to-5 type shit.
That 9 to 5 had you by the throat.
Yeah, it had me by the throat for sure. I was just trying to get that money and get up out of there.
So then now, being where you are today, right? You're on this tour. You do all these crazy things, man. You be having people fall in love with you just by speaking. You got Waze. My homie calls it Waze. I know it's Waze, but he be calling it Waze. You got Waze fucking reaching out to you to give step-by-step directions.
Absolutely.
But music being your first love, what has it helped you express that you wouldn't be able to do in any other form?
The whole More for Less Volume 2 project came in the midst of a severe depression. I don't know what we can and can't say on this podcast,
You
but
can say whatever you want.
I was suicidal at a point. And it was my parents who kicked my door in and saved my life. And I'm super, super grateful for them. I will forever be indebted. But for me, music has helped me apologize to myself. Music has helped me apologize to others. Music has helped me heal from heartbreak. Music has helped me discover that music was the one thing I looked at and I was like, I'm better than him. I'm better than him. I'm better than him. Music was the thing I said I know better than anybody else because I studied it. And when I say study, a lot of artists couldn't even tell you who the first hip-hop Grammy winner was. You know what I'm saying? And in all actuality, take it back. Y'all don't know Fresh Prince like y'all think y'all do. You know what I'm saying? They just throw smut on Will Smith's name and be like, yeah, and he was rapping, but it was whack. That nigga won the first hip-hop Grammy. You know, and it's a lot of things in music that I've dove into, you know, to add to my repertoire, like cadences and double entendres and all these other things. I feel like music has changed a lot. And I could never shit on any form of music because it's all a certain specific level of communication, but it's a sport for me. You know what I'm saying? And now that I'm happy, I want to say, now that I'm blessed in myself, I'm coming for everything I took a break on. Everything. So, you know, they're going to have to see me. And what it's going to be is like, imagine if Kendrick or Cole or Drake or somebody was like, yeah, I'm a direct Black Panther, you know. You know what I'm saying, what the Black Panther soundtrack was or what the Creed soundtrack was. It's finna be different. And I got to tell them wait and see.
What was it that placed you to this dark place?
I fell in love with a young lady at 13. We ended up having a kid at 23. And I I trauma bonded. And for those who don't know what trauma bonding is when you suffer a traumatic experience with a person and it kind of links you to them. You feel like you owe them because of this trauma that was placed on y'all life at a very young age. And she ended up losing her mother. And I felt partially responsible for that because I was in her life at the time. And from that day forward, I told myself, that's the woman I'm gonna marry. That's the woman I'm gonna have children with. I will make it up to her. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And I started to form this narrative of how I thought it should go. But in all actuality, that book was never written for her. That book was written for me. I curated that. I said, I'm going to formulate what God has for me and just put his name on it. I thought I was Bruce Almighty around this bitch. I thought you know what I'm saying? I thought I could wave my hand and this was just gonna happen, but it don't work like that. In all actuality, I learned that God will put you through everything you need to go to. You know what I'm saying? God will, if you need to be shot, God gonna get you shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether it's heartbreak or it's a painful, traumatic experience, whatever it is, if God feels like you should go through it because I need you to be stronger on this side, he gonna put you through that. And that's what that was for me. I needed to touch the bottom in order to reach up, in order to see up. I was so lost in my own gaze, looking forward of what I forced God's plan to be, that I wasn't able to step back and allow him to take control. You know what they say, Jesus, take the wheel. And in order for somebody to take the wheel, you gotta let it go. And I was crashing out myself, thinking I was doing the right thing by forcing it to be together. Man, I'm gonna give you an honest truth. I remember one point, I was so insecure, I was so low, I was so hurt because of the lies I was told, the things I was fed. I lost sight of myself so bad. I remember telling this young lady sitting there with my parents, and me and my mom still laugh about it to this day, but I remember telling her, if you don't move back in with me, I can't be with you. We can't do it. I remember forcing, you know what I'm saying, the relationship. In hindsight, you know what I'm saying, terrible decision. But it was all out of insecurity. You know, I ain't never too proud to, you know, put ego aside and say I was wrong, but I definitely was. But I was connected to something I shouldn't have been connected to. I would have never had to display that level of insecurity if I was where I should have been. You know what I'm saying? With the right person, you can be as vulnerable as you want to. With the right person, it'll work.
Hold on. We gotta back it up, right? So she had moved out, and you had told her that if you don't move back in with me, we're done.
You know how them off and on relationships will be. You break up because it ain't working as well as you wanted to. Y'all start seeing other people, XYZ, you separate. And I remember her wanting to get it back together. And my ultimatum for getting it back together was, you got to come home. And the thing about it was, I just figured I could watch her better, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't trust this person. So I figured I can keep an eye on her, you know what I'm saying? It'll save some of my insecurities, but it wouldn't. The thing about love, man, love wouldn't make you insecure. Love doesn't make you insecure. The wrong person does. The thing about love, man, love doesn't fester unwanted emotions. Love is pure bliss. I tell people all the time, man, imagine, they call it falling in love for a reason. Imagine falling out of a plane. It's so blissful. You know, everybody's scared to jump. Yeah, you scared to jump, but you're not scared to fall. You scared to hit the ground. You know what I'm saying? You scared of what happens when you hit that ground and you don't wake up the next day and you die. But the thing about love, man, in order to fall, you got to be willing to die for it. You know, but the thing that saves you is knowing you're doing it for the right person. You know, and I wasn't. And that's all right, man.
When you're doing it for the wrong person, it's like you're not willing to do all of that, right? And I feel like, you know, when I was learning your story and understanding, I saw a lot of similarities. And that's why I was like, damn, this about to be one of them ones. Because when you're doing it for the wrong person, you start to notice certain things that you can't do for them. And the whole time you're wondering, why can't they do this for me? Because you want them to make it up for you for everything that was done wrong. Right in the song, A Broken Love Story, you say, truth is, I'm kind of sad that we didn't last. We were still fighting battles we had lost in the past. Right? You see yourself carrying certain traumas. You see yourself carrying certain baggage because of the situations that have happened either in this relationship before or in past relationships that you continue to carry, right? For you, You carried this girl with you through every relationship that you ever had, a 5-year relationship that you were looking for that 13-year-old girl that you fell in love with.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, a lot of times you sit and y'all talk and y'all apologize, but nobody forgives. A lot of times you sit and you say every apology under the sun, but forgiveness is never on the table. You can forget it temporarily until you're reminded of it. And then all of the things that once bothered you start to resurface. And now you're insecure again because you were never truly able to let go. A lot of times people just say, I'm sorry and I understand, and take people back in moments you've suffered something traumatic. If you get cheated on, you at least need a day, at least, to contemplate on what you about to do next. I advise you not to leave that woman. I advise you not to stay with that woman. Just take a minute. Get a break from that woman, because in that trauma, it's hard to think. And a lot of times I found myself in that relationship making rash decisions thinking, as long as we together. As long as we together. It works as long as we together. But a lot of times people sit and they're suffering and you think it's better together when honestly it's better apart.
What did you see yourself carrying from this relationship into the others that you found yourself in?
In all actuality, I've been trying not to. After I did my little healing or my healing journey and I went through all of that, I was like, I'm not doing it again. And honestly, a lot of times I found myself being a little more firm than I used to be, a little more direct. And in order for me to stand on my boundaries and what I believe in that's going to protect me, I sometimes got to do away with things I want, relationships I want. I could be heavily interested in a woman, but if she's not ready, if she's not ready for someone who's going to tell her the realities of this world, baby, you doing this out of trauma, baby, this not right, baby, you should better this relationship. And if she's not ready to hear that, you know, it alerts me, it triggers me. Because if you ain't healing, baby, I'm sitting here with you, we just gonna drag each other down together. So a lot of times I gotta let go of people that I'm actually interested in to stand firm on my own boundaries. That relationship, man, I can say that's one thing I take pride in. That relationship was solely that relationship. I ain't taking that out on nobody else. Don't get me wrong, it put the boundaries up for sure, but boundaries are necessary. I think everybody's different. Just because one person cheated on you don't mean the world cheated on you. I'm not the man to sit and be like, oh man, everything's fucked up, I gotta give up on love. No, it's some young woman out here that's gonna love me to death. You know what I'm saying? And the day she comes is the day I'll be ready for her. I'm getting ready for her every day.
But there's such a hard thing to understand and a hard lesson to learn, right? That's one of those things that people have to unlearn before they're able to accept love into their life. You know, for me, I'm not gonna say a victim, but I've been at fault of that. You know, being the hurt person that hurt somebody else. Hurt people. But as time has gone on, you know, I continue to learn more sayings and implementing it, but you can't bleed on somebody that didn't cut you. Just because somebody hurt you and somebody made you view love a certain way doesn't mean you have to force that view onto somebody else. And that's what we do in society, right? Nowadays, it's glorified to be toxic. It's glorified to be this person that one-ups somebody else. And it's like, what are we really doing, right? Just because I had my heart broke don't mean I gotta hurt somebody else. So we do this and we create these cycles within people. And sometimes it's like, I'm really the broken one. And you gotta look within yourself. And the hard part about that is knowing that nobody can save you from all of that.
Absolutely. You got to touch the bottom, man. And a lot of people just afraid to see the bottom because the bottom is where the hard work gets done. You know what I'm saying? Even in lifting weights, you gotta slowly let that motherfucker down. And when it hurt the most is when you push it up off you. People don't want to be hurt. They're so afraid of getting hurt that they just reflecting on everybody else.
So you mentioned that you were fed all these lies about yourself, that it made you see yourself a certain way. Do you feel like that was the most important thing you had to heal before you were able to love somebody correctly?
I think I was once an insecure child. I grew out of it, And then the relationship placed me right back in it. And once I became that insecure man, I was actually afraid of that. I was actually terrified of that because that's not who I am as a person. And once I was able to stand up and see myself, and that comes with a lot of consistency. For the fellas, you do anything consistent in life, you start to do everything consistent in life. And your life begins to develop. I don't care what it is. If you a rapper, write a song today and every day going forward for the rest of your life, you'll get better. I promise you'll get better. Hit the gym consistently. You'll get better. Start eating healthy consistently. Do anything consistently. It's going to work. If you go outside a gas station and ask a motherfucker for $1 every day, consistently, you're going to start making dollars. More than you do sitting in your house. And that's the thing about life. I had to consistently do the work in order for me to see myself how I needed to see myself. I ain't going to say I'm sitting here and I'm the most confident man in the world, but what I do know is who I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm a man worthy of all I've asked for. I don't ask for a lot. I just want a good woman. I don't need you ain't got to make a certain amount of money. You ain't got to be a certain height. You ain't got to cook, clean, fold clothes. Baby, you ain't got to do all of that. I want a relationship where we meet each other and we start from scratch. Everything we do going forward, the rules, the expectations of our relationship, we set those. We ain't going by society standards. You understand what I'm saying? And we're going to go from there. I've stripped myself. When we get together, I'm going to strip myself again because I don't know what you need in a husband, but I'm willing to give it to you.
How was it you were able to let go of all that pain, though?
I tell people it's 5 ways of forgiveness. And I think the biggest thing I had to do was forgive myself. The biggest thing I had to do was, I'll give it to you. It's 5 ways of forgiving. The first one is understanding what happened and accepting what happened. The second one is understanding the emotions. The third is having accountability for what happened, being responsible, saying I played this part in all that happened. You know what I'm saying? And then the next one would be applying what you've learned from what happened. And then the 5th one is making amends if you can. I've called the people that I've had problems with and I apologized. People who've wronged me, I apologize. And not every time I was wrong. I think the thing about it is, man, you have to be willing to say how fucked up of a role you played in the relationship. Like, I'm not sitting here acting like I'm some perfect ass nigga. A lot of people online tend to believe that's the narrative I'm pushing. It's not. I was not this man. I had to heal and become this man. And that's the part about God's plan. See, when God has it ordained for you and he wants it for your life, he's going to force you to do the work. You ain't got to say, I'm going to be better in this aspect. God going to put you through something and you're going to look up one day and you forced to be better. And that's exactly what it was. God forced me to take accountability. God put me in those positions where I had to be vulnerable. So I had to understand that being vulnerable is a state you should be able to be with your woman. And if you can't, you with the wrong woman. You know, it took a lot of stripping myself to become this man. And I never, ever want to push a narrative that I'm some perfect person. No, I'm a trying man. I say that on every podcast I get on. I'm just a trying man. So for me to receive any love, any praise, any recognition, I thank him. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I'm just a trying man. And I'm going to be a trying husband when that day comes. So, you know, I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful God forced me to do the work.
You go through a breakup, every girl tells you, like, you're not healed yet. And it's like, at what point am I supposed to be healed, right? What you want me to do, wait around for 2 years because somebody isn't in my life no more? You know what I'm saying? But the question they follow up with is, what happened? You want me to tell you what happened? You're not going to hear this, oh, I'm perfect. They were the wrong person. They were such a bad person. No, because that's not what it was. It was 2 people who continued to hurt one another in different ways. And it was never intentional. It wasn't like I set out to make this person feel bad. This person didn't set out to make me feel bad. But because we kept doing it to each other, we never saw eye to eye. You can tell somebody your problems, but that doesn't mean that they're listening. So when those complaints and when everything's falling on deaf ears, it's like, how much more can I keep going through, right? That's why I love the fact that you talk about accountability, because that's some real shit. And that's what people fail to do. Everybody wants to put the blame on somebody else. somebody else was the problem because they want to feel like they weren't the villain in somebody's story. But you're the villain in somebody's the villain in everybody's story.
In moments like that, you skipping the whole chapter of growth. Growth comes from that acceptance. Growth comes from saying, this is where I am. This is where I need to be. If I've never told myself I'm not this insecure person, I could never become this confident man. If you don't accept where you are in life, it's like a person who's overweight. If you don't accept the fact you're overweight, you'll never hit the gym. You're going to live in that state. If you never accept the fact that you're broke, you ain't never going to want to get up and get money. And that's just life. You know what I'm saying? That accountability is where the growth starts.
So in the song To My Best Friend, you say, I've done things I'm too ashamed to claim. Afraid if you knew the truth, you'd probably hold your head in shame.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of those mistakes that you had to forgive yourself for?
I played tit for tat. It was moments I thought because I was wrong. It was moments I thought because I was wronged, it excused me from being wrong. I played the exact same games that was played just after the fact. And the thing about it is they call it tit for tat. And in the back of my mind, it wasn't to be tit for tat. In the back of my mind, it was more, if I don't trust this person, why do I care if they trust me or not? And the thing about it is we, as humans, fall into this aspect of like, oh, it's fair ground now, fair game. I could do what I want. And a lot of that, when I speak on integrity, when I speak on being the man I want my son to know I am, it comes with discipline. And I lack discipline a lot of times. A lot of times I could have been a better man to combat the person that was in front of me. And a lot of times I could have walked away. Even that insecure story I told you about was something I would never want my son to hear me say. It's something I would never want. But again, at the end of the day, you got to understand it's a time period in your life and there's a lesson learned from it. He may learn a lesson from it. And the thing about it is I would never want my son to view the world, not even to view the world, but to view his dad as someone who was not disciplined, as someone who didn't stand on his word, as someone who wasn't loyal, as someone who wasn't, God's child. And a lot of times I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't the best man. A lot of times I didn't care about the hurt I brung. I was cold a lot of times. And the thing about it is, I thought me being wrong excused my guilt. It did not. It did not. I just postponed it. I suffered it at a later date. I suffered it when I was all alone, when I was in a room, crying to these heartbreak songs, when I got to look my kid in the eye and tell him I tried to keep this family together. I suffered it in those moments. So, guilt can never be excused. There's never a tit-for-tat game you could play. What I encourage anybody to do is in any moment you feel something is outside your character, just walk away. No matter how bad you want to keep a relationship together, no matter how bad you severely want it to work, walk away. And not just for the sake of you, but for the sake of that person sometimes. Don't accept, and attempt to forgive when you know you can't. If you ain't worked on that forgiveness bone, don't be trying to sit here and forgive this person and keep the relationship alive. Sometimes you got to let shit die in order for shit to be rebuilt. You know what I'm saying? Tear the building down. Let's start from the foundation and work our way up. And in my past relationship, my foundation was faulty. So the whole building had to go down.
Why do you feel like the foundation was already broken at the start?
From the first conversation, our values was different. We wanted two different things out of life. I was recently having a conversation with my child's mother, and we was just talking about life in general. And I was telling her how I want more children. She got one, my son, of course. But she was like, she don't want no more. And she wants to live, and she want to travel, and she want to, you know what I'm saying? She's been in school, and she want to work her career. And hats off to her. She's doing an incredible job at everything she's doing, and she's an incredible mother. But for me, I traded all for the family. I traded all for the wife and kids. You understand what I'm saying? Not to say I'm not going to work hard and I can't have both simultaneously, but when it comes to my values, if God tells me it's one or the other, I'm choosing family, and every time. I'm choosing it every time. Our values was just different from the jump. And that's not something as a 13-year-old child you trying to understand. Even as an 18-year-old, you ain't even trying to comprehend that, so.
And you say that in Lost Loverboy, right? You say, wondering what it's like if the world could know my name. Would it be love or a drug that I'm using to soothe the pain, trying to cope with the fact that this shit has made me insane. Needing people to love me is the bump that derailed the train.
That's crazy that you even referenced that. That's the first time anybody ever's referenced that. I was on a plane taking my son to Disney World when I came up with that. I'm sitting on the plane and I'm wondering what it is I want out of life. And I'm like, I know that I want to retire my parents. I know that I want this fortune. I don't know about this fame because the thing about it is it that I want to be loved by many to hide the fact that I don't love myself, that I know I still have work to do? Do I care so much that I wasn't loved in my relationship? Is it only so monumental or so groundbreaking because I didn't love myself? And it took a long time for me to actually see that I got to love myself before anybody could love me. The compliments started to hit less and less and less and less because I understood my greatest favor is through God. I understood me being a good person at heart. I knew where I was going. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not the most religious man. I ain't in church every Sunday, but I understood all this, just sitting and self-reflecting. I didn't love me. So no matter what compliment I received, it was only a temporary hit of dopamine. It was only gonna last so long. I needed to place serotonin in my mind, something that was gonna sustain. And the only thing that could sustain was me loving myself, was me accepting the fact that there is people who genuinely love me. When I was low and my parents came and kicked my dough in, I've done so much for so many people. So many people. It was just me, my mother, my father, my little sister packing up my house. When I needed to move and I had to go back to the family home because I was depressed and down and out, it was 5 people packing up my house. And that rang bells to me. You are genuinely loved, but you gotta love yourself first because you're gonna be standing and hearing your name chanted on these stages and if you don't believe you worthy of that, it won't mean a thing, and a lot of self-reflection came out of that project, man. I appreciate you for referencing that.
Not only the fact that if you don't love yourself, but you've said it. If I had everything in the world, all of this would mean nothing if I don't have love at the end of the day. And that's something that I think as you attain more and more, you start to understand, but what was this all for? It's something I talked about a couple different times where, when you're with somebody, you talk about all these things that you are going to do. That's going to happen while you're with them, right? And then when you break up or something, you guys aren't together no more, you guys don't speak no more, you start to accomplish all those things that you talked about.
Come on, man. Talk about it.
And you sacrifice that person. You didn't literally sacrifice them, but you sacrificed that relationship because you were so dedicated. You were chasing something so hard that you thought was going to make you happy. And once you get it and you're not happy, you're like, would I have been happier with that person by my side? And sometimes hindsight is 20/20, right? Maybe you would have been happier. Maybe you wouldn't have. But you understand that feeling of love feels 10 times better than the emptiness that you get from everybody else loving you and not even knowing who you are.
Loving the right person can make it feel like you just won a Grammy. Loving the right person can make it feel like you at the Oscars and everybody chanting your name. Loving the right person can make you feel like you on stage and there's 10,000 people in the auditorium singing your songs. That's what loving the right person can do. And the thing about it is, as I self-reflect, as I did my healing, I understood that everything I wanted out of life was for this person. Everything I wanted. I wanted to be rich for her, to give to her, to supply her. I remember we was in a relationship and, she would always say, when you make it, when you get to where you going, just promise you're going to buy me a Range Rover or a G-Wagon or this or that. And ironically enough, I went and bought a Range Rover of my own when I could. You know what I'm saying? Because that was still my dream at the end of the day. I had to see that these things were still obtainable for myself. And the idea of only wanting it for her, don't get me wrong, I'm still manifesting. Ms. Wiley, you're going to hear me mention your name on every podcast I do from here now until the end of time. I'm still manifesting And I still want the best out of life for my person, but I also want it for myself. People always say, man, she gonna be so lucky. She gonna be so lucky. She gonna be so lucky. Yeah, what about me though? Like, I'm definitely gonna be lucky to have this person I've been searching for. I'm definitely gonna be lucky to have this person I've been healing for. And I understand I can't place my life's worth in her hands. I gotta hold that for myself and add her to that basket. And a lot of times, you know, we get lost in these ideas, man, thinking that we gotta do this for this person, and that's all my life was. My whole life was wrapped in doing for this person. So when she walked away, not only did I lose sight of the relationship and we lost sight of marriage, I lost sight of myself. I didn't know who I was.
Because your whole identity was tied to that person.
My whole identity was this person.
And man, those breakups, they turn your life upside down, bro. Sometimes it really does feel like it's never going to end. I told somebody the other day, back in October, we did an interview with What's the Word? You know what What's the Word is, right?
Mm.
And Jay, she had asked me, she's like, would you say you're happy now? And I told her, I'm like, I'm content. I'm content with where I'm at, and I hope to be in a better place. But I was content because I felt like I had finally found a new normal after being sad for so long.
For sure.
There was a point where, you know, when you're sad, I don't even know if it was depression for real. But I didn't want to do shit. I was in a functional freeze. I was doing shit just to do it and because I had to do it. But nothing was progressing. And that made me feel even shittier. But every day I woke up and I was like, damn, same feeling each and every day. And I thought to myself, I'm like, damn, I really don't know when I'm not going to be sad. And as time goes on, life changes. You start to feel better about things. But those relationships fuck you up. So when you made Broken Prayer, I understood. Not to that point. Because, you know, in the song you say, these demons I've been hearing, they mimic the devil's tone, yelling, fella, you know this shit would be better if you was gone. Why was it you felt like the only way out was through this dark thought?
Part of that was because, again, it always falls back on me. I take responsibility for everything. The idea of me not loving myself made it seem like I had to search external for love and validation. I thought other people's form of loving me was their validation. You know, however many people tell you happy birthday is how many people care about you. And however many people remember you, but in all actuality, that shit means nothing. Do you love yourself? Do you love this space you in right now? And I looked up and I received none of the love I was given. I looked up and I was pouring out of a pitcher into other people's cup and nobody ever refilled it. So I was drained. I was burned. They didn't love me and I didn't love myself. So my idea was, I'm wasting time here on earth. You know what I'm saying? I'm wasting space. If I'm not gonna be happy in this lifetime, why experience this lifetime? And if I can admit, man, Broken Prayers had a level of guilt attached to it. Having a 2-year-old son at the time and you suicidal and you want to take your own life, man, the amount of guilt I had when I looked into my boy's eyes and when he seen my scars on my arm and he told me, Daddy, you need a Band-Aid. That's as simple as it was for him. You know what I'm saying? That's all he knew. And I almost deprived that little boy of a lifetime of memories with his father. I'm doing the elf on the shelf shit myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm outside with the parenting. You know what I'm saying? I almost deprived him of that. And that's the most, I never understood why people say committing suicide is selfish. I never got it until I was that man. I never understood it because I thought, man, I take my own life. Why y'all give a fuck? But what people don't understand is there's people who give a fuck, you know? And Broken Prayers was at a time where, when I came up with it, I was living at an apartment, beautiful apartment. But I felt like this whole motherfucking apartment was just filled with these demons. The aura when I walked in, it's the same house we separated in. I remember coming up with Broken Prayers. I'm in the living room, speaker blasting, playing a beat routinely. No lights on in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I wrote it in a dark, dark place. But I knew with video that like the idea of it, people seeing it and hearing it, that it had to be turned around. So at the end of Broken Prayers, you see a guardian angel save that man from committing suicide, because that's exactly what happened to me. My parents came and kicked my shit in. The night I tried to commit suicide, I was living by a lake. I told myself, man, I'm finna just, I ain't have my gun at the time. You know what I'm saying? That was crazy. You know what I'm saying? God's plan. But I ain't have my gun with me at the time. And I'm like, this finding vain shit is taking too long. I was like, man, I'm gonna just walk outside, jump in this river. No, you all good, man, because it's crazy when I look back at it. But I'm gonna walk outside, I'm gonna go jump in this river, and I'm gonna just go down. Man, I walked outside, I'm just walking. It's cold as fuck. I got on like a tank top, no shoes, bawling my eyes out. And this car stopped me, and he asked me, "You good?" I said, "No." I said, "Yeah, I'm good." He said, "Where you going?" I said, "I was just heading home." That motherfuckers followed me all the way till I got to my doorstep. That's God. That's God saving me in a moment I wouldn't have been here. If that car hadn't have stopped, none of this shit wouldn't be happening. We wouldn't be sitting in this room right now. And I think God's plan is just like that. God needs to break you down. God needs to allow you to break yourself down to build yourself up.
First off, I want to say I'm glad you're here, bro. I'm glad you made it through a dark period where oftentimes a lot of people don't see the end. And they don't see the end because they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Going on through Broken Prayers, you even say trying to save the world is what left him in desperate need. What was it you found yourself so desperately searching for?
I thought the love you give is the love you receive. I thought it was reciprocal. I thought because I was so selfless with other people, so many people would be selfless with me. I thought if I had good intentions for everybody's intentions would be good for me, but that's not how life works. I tell everybody in relationships, in dating, in friendships, and family, you have to be okay with letting go of what you gave up. The energy you've expended, the time you've wasted, you got to be okay with losing it. And a lot of times people not. People selfishly want to hold on to it and say, if I gave this much, you should give that much. But that's not how the life work. Life work, let's say a corporate job. If you got a corporate job, they going to pay you just about as much work you do. So the lazy nigga ain't going to make as much money as the nigga they need. That's how life work. So the more energy you expend, the more it's going to burn you, the more you're going to get tired, but the more you should be rewarded for it. If you're not rewarded for it, remove yourself from people that ain't paying you. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm dating, or I don't give a fuck what I do, I could take a woman across the country, right? If that's what I chose to do for that woman, I feel like I took no L. You know what I'm saying? That's what I chose to do. That's the memory I experienced. And a lot of times people are not comfortable with expending what they gave up. Like, that's what you chose to do. And that was my exact problem. I was trying to save the world, thinking the world was going to save me. That's not how this works. It ain't how it works. Nobody owes you anything. And once I realized nobody owed me shit, I put my foot in the mud and I said, I'm going to do it for myself.
What was the moment that showed you that?
I lost friends. I lost family. I lost that relationship. I lost the two people I've done more for in any lifetime. I lost both of them people in the same year. So for me, it was like, okay, y'all ain't got to have me, you know, and it showed me that I got to wipe my hands of the thing I gave up, and then God returned it in tenfold. That's what you got to be willing to do. You got to be willing to let it go, and I was.
What was it you found ultimately that pulled you out of that dark spot?
I found me. I found the truth of what my purpose was. I found the reason I had to go through all of that. I found that life should be ugly sometimes because you have to have something to compare it to. You turn off every light in this room right now, it's pitch black, right? The thing about it is you ain't gonna be able to see shit, but in contrast, you turn the light on, now you got vision. You need both sides to tell a story. You need both sides of the picture. And in life, I thought it was just sun, smiles, and rainbows around this motherfucker. And it definitely not. You have to have something to compare it to, because the moment you start to feel entitled or you expect things, or you think God owes you something is the moment you get humbled for certain. The people who grew up with silver spoons in their mouth, never understanding what it's like to be broke, yeah, you take money from them people, they're going to kill themselves. They gonna become suicidal. But a nigga who been broke, got it for himself, and to go back broke, I'ma re-get it. You understand what I'm saying? So like, the idea of it is, man, you need every negative so the positives are as positive as they need to be.
There's no sunshine without the rain.
No, for sure.
To really appreciate the good times, you got to experience the bad times. And with all of that, right, that's why I always tell people, like, they ask me, are you sad all the time? They ask me why Sad Boy Radio. It's because we go through shit, bro. Everybody goes through shit in life. And the problem is they want to forget about it. They want to forget about the moments that really shaped them into who they were. Because those happy memories, yeah, you hold on to those. Yeah, that's what you look back on when you want to experience a feeling that was good. But when you look back on those bad times, what did you do? You got out the mud. You picked yourself back up and you started to work on the issues at hand. And working on those issues at hand, what did you end up doing? You ended up where you are today. So with that being said, right, you go through all that bad and you can't forget it. You can't blow it up. You can't erase it. Because if you erase it, you're not the person that you are today.
For sure.
But what I do want to touch on is to my best friend one more time, right? I learned to love myself because you love me for who I am. Mistakes I've made don't seem to matter in this role I play. How has the meaning of fatherhood changed as you continue to grow?
Fatherhood. This is probably my favorite hood in the country. You know, fatherhood has been nothing but blissful to me. When people say, I never have no more children, it's so hard, it's so expensive, it's so this, it's so that, I don't give a fuck. It's so great. You know what I'm saying? Me and my son's connection is like two peas in a pod. Like, I've never seen it before. And don't get me wrong, I love his relationship with his mother as well. But the thing about it is, my son changed my perspective on a lot. And I knew it was gonna happen because I've always envisioned a daughter. I wanted a daughter so bad. And I wanted a daughter because a father's ability to shape the way his daughter grows up is a little differently than his son. With a father, yes, you can raise a man. It's pretty easy to raise a man because you lead by example. But with a woman, you have to show her in a negative space and a positive space. Not only do you have to be a role model, but you have to tell her what to avoid, what to stay away from, what not to do, X, Y, Z. With a son, you lead by example and he grow up and he want to be like you. But the thing about it is, a positive figure for a little girl is so powerful coming from a man. And I've always desired that. I wanted a kid at 13. I was like thinking of being a father when I was, you know, before fucking puberty. You know what I'm saying? My nuts ain't even dropped yet. And I'm talking about having kids. And the thing about it is, it was everything I envisioned. From the moment I became a father, I got it tattooed on my arm, 5:25 a.m., August 9th, 2019. I will never forget it. I will never forget the feeling that came over me. I've always envisioned being a dad because this is the one relationship I can curate from the ground up. It's the seed I get to plant and watch the tree blossom all the way through. I think life means nothing if you don't have, I'm not even gonna say a legacy to leave, because when I'm gone, forget me. I don't give a fuck. I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? Ain't nothing gonna happen. But the way you choose to live on in your children matters. You live on in the personality and the responsibility and the integrity you've placed inside these people. I was doing Elf on the Shelf, man, and my son was so motherfucking happy to see that goddamn elf. He was so shocked. One day, the first thing I thought is one day he gonna grow up and put that elf on the shelf for his kids, for his son.
You need to do Snoop on the Stoop.
Come on, man. I don't even know what the fuck that is, but I'm doing it next year. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Fatherhood is blissful, and anybody who thinking they don't need children in this lifetime, it's a beautiful avenue that you missing out on receiving a lot of love. When your child comes to you and say, yo, I love you, just for nothing. It's one of the most beautiful things on the planet. And that's why I'm looking forward to meeting you, Miss Wiley. And if you hurry up, we can be, it's January? You could be pregnant by, what's the 9th month? September? No, September? Yeah, you could be pregnant by September, girl. You know what I'm saying? Baby by September. That's the goal, man. More children for sure. But I appreciate you for being so thorough in this, you know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people like this, man.
Man, you don't know about Snoop on the Stoop yet?
No, I don't know about
That's
no
Elf
Snoop
on the Shelf, just Snoop Dogg.
Damn, what?
You ain't
Snoop
seen
Dogg?
this? Yeah, Snoop Dogg.
Oh,
It's
hell.
Snoop Dogg with a joint in his mouth.
Oh, goddamn. I don't know if I can do that one. Not to my baby. He don't even know who Snoop is, so I can't even,
you can't
force that on him. I thought you was talking about
introduce him to
Snoopy, like the little dog.
Low key, that probably would have been better.
It probably. I ain't never heard of Snoop on the... That's crazy.
Because the elf be looking all crazy, bro.
He do be looking
I
crazy.
definitely think that elf is haunted. I would
He
never
scared
have
the shit out of my son.
I would never have an elf on the show, bro. This shit's scary as fuck.
It's elf in the cabinet right now because I'm hiding him to next Christmas. So.
You're just gonna pull it out one day and he's
Whip that motherfucker out mid-June and be like, I'm watching you. I'm watching you. What are you talking about?
Talking about your son, right? How did he reinstill purpose into your life?
My son gave me a reason that was bigger than me. I thought self-love was important. And then I realized the love I have to have in order to curate a good man. All I want is my son to be a good man. I don't give a fuck if he's the president. I don't care if he on a Major League Baseball team. None of that matters to me. As long as my son grows up and be a good human at heart, I did my job. I did the best I could do. And if he leading by example, he gonna be somebody to get up and get it. I ain't really got to worry about that part. But my son showed me that life is simpler than we make it. Life is more black and white than you make it. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you hungry? Are you full? Like, the thing about life, man, you don't need big reasons to do something. You don't need big reasons, big levels of motivation to get up and be successful. It takes the littlest thing on the planet, just a little bit of dedication, a little bit of hard work, a little bit here, a little bit there. My son showed me that my son is the reason I have all I have, for sure. My son was purpose. And the thing about it is, what a lot won't understand is he would have been that purpose whether he was here today or not, because he was coming eventually. You know what I'm saying? I was preparing for him. And that's part of manifesting something. That's part of saying, this is what I want for my life. You could take all the money I got. You could take all the popularity. You could take all the music. You could take everything from me. But the thing about it is, the one thing I know I need in life is that family unit. And God gave me that. And right now, it's just me and him. It's still a unit. Family pair, goddammit, left and right. And my son is everything to me.
I'm glad that he's here with you. I'm glad you're here with us. I'm glad you've done a lot, man.
I'm trying.
And you've been able to bless the world with the gift that you have.
It's been love.
From surviving rock bottom to you questioning God on broken prayers, to having your heart broken, to having little Kevin. We're gonna drop the government on you.
For sure.
All of this to say, and lost Loverboy. I think it's time I finally try to find myself. I've been running from love, just trying to hide from all the pain I felt. After running away, after pushing everybody away, what was it you found about yourself?
I learned that there's no turning it off. I've learned that just because you get your heart broken does not mean it changes your heart. You still got the same heart that you got to repatch back together. And if you had the same morals, values, wishes, and desires, you'll have them once you fix that heart. I'm still a helpless romantic. I'm going to always be a helpless romantic. When I get married, I'm still going to be a helpless romantic. And I can't help it. And I think the world knows that. The world sees that. And that's why I gain attention the way I do, because, there's people who want to be loved on correctly. And but what I've learned is that in order for me to love on someone else correctly, I have to be loved correctly. And that's a part not a lot of people understand. People think they could just come in and be a part of this journey without actually having the love to give. No, baby, you got to have it too. So you got to have your work done as well. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to know that I gain love for exactly who I am. That project you discussing and quoting and all of this beautiful shit is my story. And I think a lot of people make music and it's not them. It's not who they are or who they want to be or from that one project, you could tell everything about me. You know everything. I'm a dad. You know I had my heart broken. You know we met at a young age. You know I was depressed. You know I lost friends. You know XYZ. That's how I want my music career to go. I want you to know exactly who I am. And I got a deluxe version coming out of that project where I remove a few songs like Broken Love Story. That's no longer me. You know what I'm saying? I remove a few songs and I'm gonna have a listening party and I would love for y'all to pull up, you know what I'm saying? But that Loverboy is who I am and I've accepted that. You know, I'm gonna keep the title Lost all the way until my wife come along. You know, that's gonna be the brand all the way until she get here. And we gonna find each other and it's gonna be beautiful, you know?
I appreciate you coming through, man.
For sure.
Definitely, you made me think about some things, right? And that part about not having love reciprocated. Sometimes you also gotta understand that you can't be loved by everybody. A lot of people find comfort in love and they seek that comfort in somebody else. But they don't realize that you accept love from somebody that doesn't truly love you, or you accept love from somebody that's not even good for you.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, you're just self-sabotaging. And you create this attachment that was never meant to happen.
For sure.
Shout out to you.
Hey, man, shout out to y'all. What y'all doing over here, it's a beautiful thing. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. You know what I'm saying? To even be blessed in your platform. I'm a sad boy at heart. And you know, the reason I tell them for sure, you learn how to, you know, maneuver around with being sad. Like you said, like I said, shit, you touch the bottom and you know what it's like to be at the top. I know how to be happy now because I was sad. So I still strive to be sad some days just so when I'm at my happiness, I can soak it all in. Those love songs and sad shit I listened to, all that Giveon I played, you know what I'm saying? All that sad shit.
That Giveon hit, bro.
Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Slap stupid.
Album.
And I did it just so when I'm listening to that love song, I can actually value it the way I do. So I appreciate you for having me, you know?
You know what's my favorite Giveon quote?
What's that right there?
Love will give you what you don't need and take what you don't appreciate.
Absolutely.
What would you define love to be now?
Love is acceptance. The love is wholeheartedly saying, I'm okay with exactly who you are. I value you for you. Exactly how you show up to me is exactly who God ordained you to be in my life. I ain't trying to change you. I'm not trying to shape you. I don't need you to do anything different. To love someone is to fully accept them. To love someone is to say, I'm not going to place my expectations on you. I'm not going to place my wishes, my desires. I want you to live the life you were ordained to live. So when I sit and I think of heartbreak and I say, man, this person hurt me this bad, I knew I truly loved them unconditionally when I still wanted nothing but the best for that person.
So real quick, because we didn't even touch on it for real, right? Lost Loverboy. Why Lost Loverboy? What the fuck is this shit? Break it down for them real quick, because obviously, like, that's the biggest part of who you are at this moment. I don't want to, diminish the music because the music is beautiful, right? It tells a whole story, but you got 300,000 off of talking some shit online.
Yeah, I hate that they getting rid of TikTok too, because it's like we over like 500,000 or some shit like that. But we on Twitch now, you know what I'm saying? They wanted me to go live, and that's all I be doing on TikTok, so fuck it, we on Twitch. But Lost Loverboy came about because as you go through the album, you start to hear like the moments of this man. At first, he's like angry. First song, more for less, the very first song, I'm angry. And I'm like, okay, if you ain't want to ride with me, fuck you. If I'm going to just work hard and okay, cool. Yeah, after that anger soaked in, became the dealing with the depression and the demons and and then came a little mental health note for anybody who's ever been depressed to let you know you're not alone. And then came I've Got You. The idea that this man cannot stop envisioning love, envisioning his wife, manifesting that. And then, it just keeps going down and down and down. And right after that, we got, a broken love story and all the other things that fill in. And the thing about it is, Lost Loverboy came about because I am this person. And once I've accepted that I'm a lover boy at heart, I can't change that. That's okay. But it's okay to be lost in the world these days. It's okay that the dating pool got piss in it, right? But what you're gonna do is, because you understand how to love, you're gonna help people understand what loving is. And not a lot of loving is yourself. A lot of loving is other people. So what it was a man who stuck in this toxic generation of sneaky links and fucking, dating with no intention and all of this shit. How the fuck do I find a wife and all of that? So I'm lost. You know what I'm saying? I felt lost. I felt stuck, but I'm finding myself. And a lot of people are finding themselves because of me, and I'm so very proud of that. Shout out to Loverboy podcast. We doing some incredible things, even bigger this year. We got the merchandise, man. You know what I'm saying? I got to get you one of these for sure. Lost Loverboy on the merch. Got Lost Lover Girls. Shout out to all the Lost Lover Girls of the world. You know it's more than them than it is us, so we got to get our numbers up. But my son has a brand coming out as well called Little Loverboy. And it'll be Little Lover Girls as well. That's coming very soon. Bright colors. It's who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't help it. And we stuck in this, and we've accepted this. So we good right where we at. Until our love comes along, we gon', and put that found on it.
So, last thing, why did you feel the need to help others find what's eluded you for so long?
Man, it's because I knew there was people who felt the way I did. Music showed me that. Music showed me no matter what song you get in the studio and make, there will be somebody of these billion people on this planet who relate to you. And I knew, just because I'm a hopeless romantic, I'm not the only hopeless romantic. I'm not the only one who out here healing and needing to do the work and needing to stand up and see themselves as they once did. I knew it was some young lady, and I'm blessed because I did a festival in the summertime. I got to perform at a festival. It was incredible. But a lady came to me and asked me to sign a book I had came out with for her. And she told me, she whispered in my ear, she said, I just want to let you know, you helped my daughter beat depression. You stopped her from committing suicide. And at that point, I knew it was God ordained. At that point, I knew it was the exact lane I was supposed to be in, and I'm going to be doing that to the end of time. Whether I'm helping 100 people on the street, or I'm helping my son or my daughter or somebody on a podcast, God did it. And now God is, pushed me in rooms with people larger than life. And I'm blessed and I'm fortunate. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, that's why I care to help.
Shout out Lost Loverboy. Shout out Demetri Wiley. Man, go ahead, plug whatever you need to plug.
Man, what can I say? Follow me everywhere, Demetri Wiley. The music, if you want to stream it, Demetri Wiley. I got a song called Be Mine dropping. It already dropped. It dropped at New Year's. And the song is crazy. But the video is going to be nuts, and I want to release it on Valentine's Day. We got our very first Clubhouse event. I wanted to do an event. I told myself I'm going to do an event every month from here until my birthday. It'll be a birthday party. I'm expecting like 500 to 800 people. It'll be a show, though. So it's going to be like a R&B performance. I'll have my music done over by a live band, and we going to perform. You know what I'm saying? We gonna do it right. And it'll be a lot of sponsorships in the building. And every time I'm not on stage, it's going to be me on stage or my brother on stage. And we got the crowd singing all your favorite R&B songs. You know what I'm saying?
Where's that going to be at?
That's going to be at Distro Music Hall over on Roosevelt in Berwyn. It's right in Berwyn. Beautiful venue. I said 800 people, but they legally only able to hold like 700, so... Cops, if you listening, turn an ear. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. I'm so excited. But now until then, I'm throwing events. And if that event goes the way I want it to, it'll be my 29th birthday. I'm going to keep throwing events. And we keep getting outside. And we make it work, man. There's some beautiful things coming.
Make sure you guys go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.